Chorus Voices, the podcast brought to you by Chorus, a fresh approach to community service. Settle in, listen in, and enjoy the voices who bring you reflections, musings, and stories from our community.
They saw Maria Garzon's smile and said, this will be the logo for Chorus.
Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of Chorus Voices. I am CEO Dan Minchin.
And I'm Head of Brand and People Lou Forster, and we have a guest in the studio.
Janine Wilkins, and I've been a volunteer for 30 years.
Unbelievable 30-year contribution to Chorus and a few organisations before us. But we'll come back and talk some more to Janine in a second. Lou, last month we recorded the podcast really at the height, or so far the height of the COVID-19 outbreak, and we weren't quite sure where we would be in a month.
No,
so where are we?
We were in separate geographical locations.
We were then, yeah.
Managed to make that come together. We've now managed to get into the same room at a fair distance apart with Janine. So we are, we've moved a little way forward. However, we're still very much in the thick of it in Western Australia. So it's still not quite back to normal.
And we're here this month. We're talking about National Volunteer Week, which is from the 18th to the 24th of May. And the theme is changing communities, changing lives. And really one thing that the COVID-19 experience has showed us and many people around the world is it's never more important to work as a community to change people's lives. And actually the experience has been one of sort of an upswelling of community contribution and giving and compassion really around the world. And so someone like you, Janine, who's volunteered for such a long time, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be working with us?
I moved into Medina in the area at Kwinana with my folks, and I wouldn't know the area too well. And at that time, they put an ad in the paper so long ago, and I went along and had an interview. And at that stage, we said yes, and I was only doing Kwinana around the area. For now, so yeah, it was really good just to think. Well, you learn the streets and wherever all the medical centres are and that, because you never know what's in the area when you move into it.
And you were helping some of the clients at the time to get around and.
Yes, I was. I was actually having clients on a regular basis that they used to take to appointments and shopping. And at that early stage, I was doing shopping bus.
30 years later, why are you still volunteering with Chorus? What does it mean to you?
I meet new people in there all the time. There's not always the same people come in every day. They have different. I mean, even the support workers, I know a lot of them from Kwinana days as well. So, I mean, we've kept really up to date, as in different new people coming in. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a different atmosphere every day. You walk in, you don't know what to expect, and I'd rather go in and if I can give somebody a little giggle or a laugh in between what they're going to do, why not?
Well, you definitely do that, because whenever you're in the building and I go down to Kwinana or Medina, you know whether Janine's in the building, so.
Well, I know who has family and who doesn't have family, who's got the grandkids and who hasn't, and who's got a cat and who hasn't got, And I try and keep up with everybody that who's got one, and even just saying, just people, how's the cat, or how's the the dog, and the look on their faces, and you actually you'd think, you actually think of my dog as well as me, to ask how both are we doing and how all the grandkids are doing and family just in general. And it's just the look on their face, just thinking, and I think, well, before we could actually not hug, but it was always a hug as we walk in the door. But we'll get back to that one day.
We will.
I'm sure we will, and I think in Kwinana, just like in all of the communities where we have a presence, our goal, our ambition is to do more in those communities. Encourage more volunteers to get involved, and in some ways, this sort of COVID experience is put the spotlight on that type of work even more. So I'm really, it's been a very difficult time. I'm quite optimistic about where this might all go. Do you have a hope for Kwinana, the community of Kwinana, over the next couple of years?
Well, I just hope that a lot of people will come out of this and think, well, there's not much to do, but at least there is a place that you can maybe go and volunteer. You know, it might be just a day that you volunteer or a couple of days. It doesn't matter how many days.
Well, we've certainly had to adapt with how we've been volunteering, and you haven't been in Kwinana because Kwinana hasn't really been open, and we've got a few volunteers that are out and about and they haven't been coming in. So Judith spoke to a few people on the phone, so we might hear from a couple of the other volunteers that she spoke to.
Hi, this is Gary Murphy, volunteer driver with Chorus Transport, Rockingham based. Been volunteering in this position for just on 10 years, firstly with Care Options and then with Chorus after the amalgamation. Enjoying the involvement in the community as it's one way to contribute by way of assisting our elderly who otherwise don't have direct access for personalised transport. Probably my greatest enjoyment is my Thursday shopping bus runs. All the ladies and one gentleman have evolved to be like a big extended family, and they use the shopping trip as a weekly or fortnightly outing to get together as well as and have been missing this since the suspension of the service because of COVID-19. To keep in contact, I've phoned them fortnightly to catch up and check on their welfare.
Well, I enjoy the volunteering side of it. Meeting the elderly, meeting a lot of the clients, they're really good. They're really positive. Get to know a little bit about them, about their family. And it's really sad for some of them because their families don't live in the same state. The only thing that I can do is just give them a bit of time, you know, let them talk, you know. I had a lady who we no longer deliver to, but she was one of the first volunteers for Meals on Wheels when it first started up in Kwinana. And she used to tell us about how they were delivering, how she used to be the runner and, you know, and all that. So she knew exactly what we were doing, and she shared some of her stories, which was really nice.
Yeah, it's kind of like a continuing kind of path.
Yes, well, she was saying that, you know, and when she first started, there weren't that many females. So whatever females were available had to go with the guys. The guys were doing the driving and they were doing the running. The gentleman down on our Safety Bay run, he's in his early 90s. He goes swimming every morning.
Wow.
He has you know, he likes to come out and have a chat. And he was telling us this morning that a friend of his had no power, so he was going to help him take everything out of his freezer, and he was bringing it to his place to put into his freezer. He has a mulberry tree. So every time the mulberry tree is fruiting, he tells us, come and help yourself any time in the weekend. Just come and help yourself to the tree.
Wow, that's great, isn't it? Bit of mulberry jam happening then.
More like a satisfaction of helping somebody, you know, who, through no fault of their own, are unable to do things. So sometimes we'll take in their papers, or we'll, you know, try and help them whatever they need help with. Give them a bit of a brighter day.
A smile.
Hello, my name's Kevin, and I volunteer with the Chorus gardening team from Carlisle. One of my memorable events involves a family in Queen's Park, where the father had obviously passed away some time before. Mum was left at home with a disabled man, about 40 at this stage. We found it was a bit more than a quarter-acre block, and at some stage they'd had a very elaborate vegetable garden with fruit trees around the edges. When our supervisor, Rod, did an inspection to start with, he was a man of almost 6 foot, but he disappeared amongst the vegetation there. He could only just see his head and shoulders. So having given them the 1 hour of service we had, we weren't that well through the job. But in the process, we'd filled the trailer with
weeds and the like. So Rod decided that we should give them a little extra and try and clear the vegetable patch up, which we did, and we stacked the extra vegetation in a pile. And the good news was that when we came back the next time, the young man came out, or the chap came out to talk to us, which was good. He hadn't been socialising for a long time. And we felt good about the fact that he was comfortable in talking to us. But further beyond that, he'd also gone out and had planted some new vegetables in the patch we'd cleared. And they were trying to re-establish the vegetable gardens. A great event. And beyond that, we took several services to get the fruit trees around the edges sorted, pruned, and back to some level of good production.
It's a good experience. It's a happy experience. And I like the fact that you've got Smile actually written on your vans.
Yeah.
Because it actually works. And the reason why I like it is twofold. My point of view is I take a lot of students from Perth Modern School to the gardening team, and I've got it with them, picking them up, having a chat with them, supervising them, talking to them a bit about rock health and safety, and then meeting up with the gardening team and seeing the younger people mixed with the gardeners and seeing the interactions and just the general chat, and the feeling at the end of the day is great because everyone's thanked each other for their efforts, and I really think the girls and some of the younger boys get a real thrill out of it too.
What do you enjoy the most about volunteering with the gardening team?
I like the fact that they're very inclusive, they're friendly, they're very professional. I've known gardening all my life. My father was a great gardener, and I dare say we probably had the best garden in the street. So I've learned a lot about gardening from him. But I always had this dream of maybe retiring and having my chickens and growing my vegetables and growing a few fruit trees. So I've always had an affinity with gardening. Well, I have an enormous respect for Chorus. They have a very high standard of safety and protection of their clients, but also an extremely high standard for their employees and therefore their volunteers. I think Maria Garzon is a wonderful person and she fits in and everyone loves her. And she brings a beautiful smile. In fact, they probably said they saw Maria Garzon's smile and said, "This will be the logo for Chorus."
So that was great to hear from some of our volunteers, and even on the phone during this tricky time when we can't get out to see everyone face to face. And I thought that Gary's journey was interesting. He started working at Care Options, which is now Chorus, and has got a decade under his belt. And Janine, you've had 3 decades under your belt and 3 organisations. Yeah, and that's really changing communities over that time, and a lot of lives will have changed in that time too.
And Gary was obviously talking about making the phone calls to these people with whom he has an ongoing relationship, which has really made an impact on them. I really like Tony talking about the connection he made with the community garden, and that really expands the sort of the possibilities for people in that Bull Creek area. But also I like that sort of building the different elements of that broader community together and enabling people to sort of to be part of those neighbourhoods, whether it's something like gardening or anything else. It's a really great example of that, sort of the strength of the neighbourhood network.
Definitely. And I also love Tony's pick-up of the Got a Smile to Deliver, because there was a bit of a journey and a story behind what's on our vans. It was going to be Can't Stop, Got a Smile to Deliver, but we got lots of feedback that people didn't like the Can't Stop, so it ended up being Got a Smile to Deliver. And you see our vans out on the streets.
So look, it's been a great opportunity just to reflect on the impact that volunteers have on communities and on people's lives. We've heard from a number of different volunteers around the Chorus community, and it's been great to co-host with you, Janine. Janine. I hope we get you back on deck physically as soon as we possibly can, as this COVID thing hopefully becomes more and more relaxed. So as we recognise National Volunteer Week, I would like to express my immense gratitude to all the people who volunteer in Chorus and across Western Australia and indeed Australia. It's an extraordinary thing that people do, and as we've heard today, on a daily basis, we're changing lives and changing communities. And that's Chorus Voices for today. So thank you very much, Luke.
Thanks, Dan.
And Janine, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Chorus Voices, the podcast brought to you by Chorus. If you like our show and wanted to know more, check out our website at chorus.org.au. And please leave a review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and it helps others find us and enjoy the podcast as well. Join us next time for more inspiring stories and news from our community. Chorus, a fresh approach to community service.